I didn't get a chance. I forgot to ask you this on Tuesday, but what is Billy Edwards-Dallas? I know he left the game with an apparent injury against on Saturday.
Yeah, he's going to be game time for us. Game time decision. Re-aggravated the high ankle sprain he had, and he's been all week long in the training room working hard to get himself back. So we'll have to see how he feels today and tomorrow, and we'll have a better feel on Saturday.
We'll go to Varun.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Got your camera off, huh, bro?
I've been sick for the last few days, so doing all of us a favor.
All right, appreciate that.
Wanted to ask, you talked Tuesday about how you felt that your team got out-toughed at times in the Penn State game. Could you expand a little bit more on what you meant by that and where you saw that during the game?
I mean, I don't know how much more to expand when you say we got out tough. That means that they punched us in the mouth. We didn't respond the way that I expected us to or that we wanted to. Our players took the accountability that, it was a physical game that we didn't respond the right way. If you want instances, I mean, I'm past that game. We've got one coming up here with a really good team on Saturday, and that's where our focus has been since Monday.
Got you. And then last 2 weeks, you guys have had some struggles along both sides on the offensive and defensive lines. What do you think has contributed to that? Is it a technique thing? Is it like communication? What do you think has contributed to it?
A little bit of both.
Could you expand on where you've seen those in particular and how to fix them?
I'm out of last week's game. You should have asked this on Monday. I'm in Ohio State mode, and I hate to, answer your question this way, but I'm beyond it. So to expand on it anymore, I had dealt with that and put that game behind us. We got Ohio State this week, a really good team that I've had to put all my energy and efforts into that one. We've worked real hard this week to try to improve in the trenches, like we talked about. To win in November, we've got to play well in the trenches, O-line and D-line. We didn't do very well of that the last couple of weeks, and we were working hard this week to get it fixed.
Thank you.
We'll go to Ahmed.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you.
What's up, Ahmed?
What's going on? I know you guys obviously you guys got beat up on the ground again last week, and I'm just kind of curious, when you talked about evaluating defense and playing time and all that stuff, and you kind of watch the tape and you see Ohio State, obviously, both their running backs are explosive, but coming off of injury. So I'm just kind of curious, I guess, what have you kind of maybe seen from the run defense, and then how have you kind of taken that tape to kind of prepare for that Buckeye rushing attack?
Yeah, what Ohio State brings to the table, their offense is kind of built the way ours is. They obviously have executed at a really high level. It starts with their quarterback. They do have a room full of talented running backs, and both your top two guys have been nicked up, banged up, but I expect that their goal is to get those guys healthy, get them back. I would imagine most of their attention is finding a way to get into this game, play well, and get out healthy to prepare for next week's game is what we hope. As far as for us and our run defense, so like I said earlier, both sides of the O-line and D-line in the trenches for us, the last couple of weeks haven't performed at a great level. We've dealt with things, whether it's the elements, wet turf, wet field, not coming off the ball, not being physical, not playing with the physicality needed, all of those things, handling movement. That's what we've worked a lot on this week to prepare ourselves for a team that's really balanced, that has the ability to do both really well. And, our team, it starts with the physicality in which we got to play with and on both sides of the ball. So we put a lot of energy into that this week, and hopefully the work pays off for us on Saturday.
Does anyone have anything else for Coach?
Could I actually get a follow-up?
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. I think earlier this week you said you were kind of expecting Mason Lunsford available as against Ohio State. Does that remain to be the case?
Yeah, he's practiced the last couple of days, and if he stays on track, I would imagine he would be available to play.
Cool. Gotcha. And I'm just kind of curious because, obviously when he was sidelined, Colton Deary, he was a guy that he stepped in. And, when you look at a lot of the freshmen that have played, majority of them are guys that rolled in January, but he's a guy that got in June. So for him to kind of maybe get in late and still be able to, kind of pick up things to be capable to as a stopgap at center. What have you kind of seen out of him, out of that freshman center?
Yeah, I've seen a guy that came in and has really battled to put himself in a position to help us. It's really tough for a freshman to play. I think the hardest place for young guys to come in and play early is in the trenches because there's just a physicality that's kind of big bank take little bank per se, and that you don't have that experience, that grown man strength that comes with a full toolbox. But what he has done and what he's been able to do in a short period of time. Now, he has benefited because he was just up the road there in Philadelphia. He came down and spent weekends here in the spring where he was able to watch spring practices, sit in meetings, and do all those things, but wasn't able to obviously practice with it. But I think he made up for a lot of the physical stuff, the fundamental part. Has really done a great job working with Coach Braswell and getting that thing and getting those things, developed. He had a really good understanding of our system from the time he spent sitting in meetings, clinicking with Coach Braswell, going through the playbook. But the physicality piece was where we had to get him caught up to speed. And I think he's progressing as well as a freshman could.
Appreciate it, Coach.
No problem.
Varun's got another one.
Perfect.
Hey, Coach. With Mason potentially coming back, if you're able to have him slotting up left guard and then Johari go to center, what do you think that will do for some of those communication issues you guys have had as you're preparing for this Ohio State team?
I don't recall saying that there were communication errors up front. For the most part, it's a lack of being on the same page with handling movement. That's what we've seen. But having Johari back at center definitely allows us to have a stronger, bigger guy in the A gaps. If the last couple of games, whether it's in protection, we've put a big emphasis on solidifying and being firmer in the middle of our pocket. Our quarterback is in a 6'2" guy. And so having that A and B gap as far away from him, which allows him to have the vision necessary to make the throws, is really important. And a guy like Johari has played 3 years of football, has the strength necessary to kind of versus heavy-handed teams to maintain that pocket integrity that we want. That helps us. And by Mason being back, another guy that, has been in our strength and conditioning program for, 3 years now, that helps us. And usually when you play a young guy like Colton, who's still developing, that's where you saw some of the penetration that affected us, whether it be in the run game or the pass game. So not as much communication there as much as it was fundamentals and technique.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See you Saturday.